Macau, November 2011, the final round of the World Touring Car Championship. Only two men in contention for the world crown, Yvan Muller and Rob Huff. 3 laps into the final race, Rob Huff passes Tom Coronel to take the lead. With Yvan Muller in 5th, the Briton is virtually world champion. But this will last only for a few metres, for a few seconds. Behind, Muller passes Mehdi Benani to take the 2 crucial points to pass Huff in the standings. For Yvan Muller, it's the 3rd world title of his career. And this breathtaking battle started 8 months earlier in Curitiba in Brazil. After setting the first pole of the year, Rob Huff took the lead into the first corner and held it to the end. Behind him, Yvan Muller and Brazilian stock car star Carlos Caca Bueno driving the orange Chevy Cruze. Tom Coronel in his first race with Roar Motorsport proved to be fast since the start of the season, battling with Christian Poulsen for 4th place on lap 3, helped by a mistake from the Dane. After a disappointing qualifying session, Alain Menu started race 1 from 19th position in his Chevy Cruze, but the car was quick. And Menu was fighting his way hard up the order. In front, Gabriele Tarquini in the Seat, drifting wide, door wide open for the Chevy. 11 laps into the race, the battle for 4th between Coronel and Poulsen rages on. After this bumper-to-bumper move, Coronel drifts wide and Poulsen slips up the inside, Menu looking to pounce. But 1 lap later, it's Coronel with the ascendancy again. The Dutchman retakes 4th place and will hang on till the end. While Menu is only in 6th position, there's still plenty to celebrate for Chevy team principal Eric Neff. Rob Huff wins from Yvan Muller, local hero Caca Bueno in 3rd place as Chevy 1, 2, 3. Standing starts traditionally favour rear-wheel drive cars, so no surprise that Tom Coronel from 3rd on the grid makes a great start, taking the lead into the first corner, having passed Michel Nukia and Alain Menu, the poleman. Tarquini also making a great start. Further back, Franz Engster does not get away from the line. Tarquini in his Seat TDI had a better start than Alain Menu, but the Cruze much quicker. The first of the blue cars makes its way past the Italian. 3 laps in, the Swiss has gone by, and not too long later, Rob Huff makes his move as well. And finally, Yvan Muller gets a run on his longtime friend and former teammate. Even Caca Bueno finds his way past the Seat, which had dominated the previous season's races. In the battle for the lead, contact. And Coronel finds himself outgunned and outnumbered. Menu sneaks through. And Huff and Muller swap places and paint. The Frenchman keeps his nose resolutely in front as Menu takes win number 1 of the season, win number 2 for the Chevy team. So Huff with the initial advantage, 4 points up on Muller at the end of the first race of the season. And for Menu, a massively emotional moment. He'd lost his father in the Macau weekend in the previous November. When I crossed the line, I forgot about Curitiba, I forgot everything. It was, okay, we won, he and I, we won together. And right then, I started to cry. So, I don't know, when I came out of the car, I think it's impossible to explain, you know. Even talking about it now brings tears to my eyes. You know, you only ever have one father. Second meeting of the season at Zolder in Belgium, and once again Rob Huff, the fastest man in qualifying, the British driver, taking his lead into the first corner, while teammate Alain Menu, starting from second, struggled a little more with Ivar Muller behind and Gabriele Tarquini knocking the Swiss sideways from the inside. Well, that slowed Tarquini as well. The field bunched up behind. Already plenty of contact, and the safety car out after 3 laps because of this. Freddie Bart losing control of his Seat. Tom Coronel taking avoiding action, trying to come back on from the gravel traps, pitched sideways into the air and out of control, and in the end gets collected by the hapless Franz Englsih. Luckily, everybody escaped unhurt from what was a pretty large impact. As they rejoined, Gabriele Tarquini battling with Ivar Muller. Not too many places to overtake in these quick cars at Zolder, but Muller gets through to 3rd place ahead of Tarquini. Spanish battle in a Yokohama trophy with new boy Javier Villa overtaking fellow new boy and teenager Pepe Orioli for 10th position. Villa coming in from GP2 single-seater racing, showing he's got plenty of pace, if not quite so much patience. Checkered flag for Rob Huff from Menu and Muller. Tarquini in 4th ahead of teammate Montero. Christian Poulsen, the top independent, ahead of Norbert Michelisz and Mikel Nukia, 6th, 7th and 8th. Another 1, 2, 3 for Chevrolet. Race 2, Gabriele Tarquini taking the lead into the first corner. Huff sneaking into 2nd, courtesy of a big move on Alain Menu. Ivar Muller slowing with problems on the Chevy. He will have no points to add to his total from race 4. Lap 8, and after chasing Tarquini, Huff puts in a move. The Italian makes a mistake at the chicane. Huff gets on the grass as he's given no room to survive alongside. Then contact in the braking area. Both cars are off. Huff goes straight through the chicane, and he thinks his race is over with broken steering. As he slows dramatically, Tarquini goes through to retake the lead, his Seat seemingly undamaged, and he will take it to the flag ahead of Menu and Montero. Huff does recover to finish in the points. Vent steering somehow gets him to the end. Huff, with 6th position, extends his advantage to 22 over Muller. And unbelievably, the ancient Seat TDI claims victory.
For me, this is good touring car racing. You know, this is. We had a little talk about it afterwards. He said he didn't push me on the grass. I said, no, you did. Now he watches, he remembers, he pushed me on the grass.
Some millimeters.
Yeah, but it was grass. It was grass.
Yeah, it was grass.
But this is touring cars. This is how it should be. This is good
I was in the
racing.
racing line.
Yeah, you were on the racing line, and I was trying to be on the racing line.
I was sure that you had space enough to don't put the wheel on the grass. And when I saw the image, it was not true, because he had the rear, right tires on the grass. 4 or 5 centimeters maybe.
Let's count centimeters.
But you know, at my age,
1,
it's
2, 3,
different
4, 5. It's like 40 centimeters.
But my age is different.
The eyes are not so good anymore.
Yes.
You should retire.
After grabbing his 3rd pole position in a row, Rob Huff survives to the tricky first chicane at Monza to hang on to the lead from fast-starting teammates Ivar Muller alongside and Alain Menu right behind. Well, there are no team orders among the Chevrolet drivers, and the battle is open and fraught. Lap 2. Alain Menu gets a good tow from Ivan Muller and gets a run down into second place in the first chicane. It's a tight squeeze, but he makes it through. Norbert Michelisz with a new turbo engine BMW passing Thiago Monteiro, who still has the old turbo diesel Seat Leon. Meanwhile, this is lap 9. Battle continues between Huff, Muller and Menu. Michelisz charging up the order to the delight of the tiny team. On board with the view of Ivan Muller, who has squeezed in front of Alain Menu, makes a mistake in the chicane. Menu gets a run on him, there's contact. And Menu is off into the gravel. As Menu is off, Huff takes the checkered flag from Muller, and a fraught battle for third place. Monteiro just grabs it from Michelisz and Coronel. The win goes to Rob Huff. Photo finish to Thiago Monteiro. Round 6, courtesy of some great qualifying strategy on Saturday. Rob Huff starts from the front row for the second race. There's chaos again at the chicane as Mehdi Benani takes the shortcut and then gets swamped as he tries to figure out how many cars he has to let back in front to avoid a penalty. Ivan Muller passing Thiago Monteiro for second place at the end of the first lap, right onto Rob Huff's tail as they get into the Parabolica. This is lap 5. Christian Poulsen, Thiago Monteiro and Norbert Michelisz all get tangled up. Michelisz getting shoved out, having just got by Monteiro and shuffled down the order, down to 7th place. Well, there's the number 9 machine of Daryl O'Young. Meanwhile, this is Alain Menu trying to fight his way back up through the order. And there's a puncture. Tom Coronel picks up a puncture as Menu fights his way up the order. The Dutchman is dropping down and flies off the track. Huff and Muller first and second. Poulsen a long way back in third, but on the podium as the winning independent driver. Grand Slam for Rob Huff, 2 poles, 2 wins. His advantage goes from 22 to 36 points over Ivan Muller. A first ever visit to the Hungaroring for the World Touring Car Championship, and local hero very much in the focus, Norbert Michelisz. Starting from pole for the first time all season though, it's Alain Menu who makes a great start to take the lead from Ivan Muller, who gets knocked sideways by a number of BMWs. Michelisz straight through the carnage, challenging Gabriele Tarquini for second place. The Hungarian in his orange and black machine moves ahead as Tarquini then has to fight off Javi Villa. On this demanding circuit, the BMWs faring well. Well, Villa waits till the last moment to squeeze by Tarquini. Meanwhile, Rob Huff and Ivan Muller in the action as well as Tarquini goes off. Somehow Huff squeezes by Muller. Bit of paint exchange, then has a look at Javi Villa for third place. Menu runs away to win it. Norbert Michelisz on the podium at home in front of a massive audience of 70,000 fans.
On Sunday, when we saw the crowd, it was just amazing to see that in Hungary, where a sport like this, as I said, has not a really big tradition, that 70 or 80,000 people come to see me racing. So it's a feeling that is difficult to describe. On that day I felt like the most lucky man on earth.
A huge result for Michelisz and an enormous crowd coming out to see him succeed in the World Touring Car Championship. Well, the standing start giving Norbert Michelisz an excellent opportunity in race 2 as well. He gets a good launch in the BMW as Coronel heads to the front. But he's a little too ambitious perhaps, bites off a bit more than he can chew. Locked up after contact in the back of the BMW of Mehdi Benani. He clatters into Christian Poulsen and the car is wrecked. 3 minutes after the start though, just at the beginning of lap 2, it starts to rain, and not just a little bit. It's an absolutely torrential downpour. The thunderstorm arrives and suddenly it's stars on ice. There is no option but to red flag the race. The cars had started on slicks and they had no chance whatsoever to survive the conditions. It's very wet at the restart, but at least now they've got sensible tyres on. Alain Menu gets hit hard from behind by Tom Coronel, spat out into the barriers, big impact, he's okay, but the car is wrecked. As the track starts to dry, it comes to the Chevy drivers. Muller dives inside Coronel for second place. Huff is right behind as Tarquini again has his Seat at the front. 6 laps in though, Tarquini is starting to struggle under pressure for Muller, and Chevy finding grip where nobody else can. Previously the diesel Seat Leon was the car in the rain, but in drying conditions his tyres are struggling. 4 laps later, Huff passes the Italian for second place. Checkered flag out, it's Muller who wins it in now broad sunshine from Huff, with Tarquini clinging on to third. Coronel and Montero behind, and Huff continues to lead the series. His gap, 31 points. Starting for the first time in the season from Ivar Muller has been a little difficult. He hasn't been in front in the first corner at any stage. Brno takes the inside line. Rob Huff is forced wide onto the gravel and manages to keep his speed down into corners 4. He gets his nose in front. Alain Menu behind, battling with Tom Coronel. This has traditionally been a very good track, not just for BMW, but for Coronel's Royal Motorsport team as well. Dutchman just can't hold on against the soaring power of the Chevy though. And Menu goes by. Huff wins his 5th win from 9 starts. Dad Peter delighted, as is Rob himself. With Muller in second and Menu in third, it's Chevy's third 1-2-3 result. Third on the grid for round 10, Tom Coronel makes the great start to take the lead from Michel Nukia's Seat, with the opportunity perhaps to win for the first time. Ivar Muller from 4th moves up quickly and passes Nukia for second place just 4 laps in. The Chevys exerting their dominance once more. And then it's time for Alain Menu to also make his move on the Dane. Nukia contesting the independence category. He's only interested in his Yokohama Trophy rivals. And when push comes to shove, has to let the Chevys go. It takes just 5 laps for Menu to reel in and pass Coronel. The Chevy team are delighted. For Royal, there will be no fairy tale win in Brno in 2011. But Coronel clings on to the podium. Muller takes victory. Coronel in second place, with Rob Huff in 3rd spot. And for the second race weekend in a row, the gap is closing from 36 to 31 to 25 points. But Coronel's second is like a win.
The Chevy was faster, but they tried to overtake, but I just closed all the gaps. I mean, it's for me the only reason how to score points, and at least to be on the podium. Otherwise, it's too easy for them. You know, I should make it hard for them, at least to overtake me. So I had to fight. I was fighting a lot. I was looking more in the mirrors than through my front window. But yeah, we survived. We had a good podium, and at least I kept 2 Chevys behind.
Coronel celebrating their best result of the season with the Royal Motorsport team. Well, Chevy have always performed well on the street circuits and always well at Porto in Portugal. Alemanyu started from pole position, holding his lead on the long run down to the first corner as his teammates jockeyed for position with, yes, you've guessed it, Gabriele Tarquini. Tarquini and Porto resident Thiago Monteiro squabbling over 4th as they headed around the seafront on the first lap. Monteiro had a wretched time on his home circuit a couple of seasons earlier, but sneaked in front of his teammate as Menu, Muller and Huff made hay. Well, nobody would have been surprised to see a 1-2-3 here, but it seemed as though Huff was not content to sit behind Muller, feeling he was losing too much ground to Menu. At the checkered flag, though, that's the way they finished. Huff couldn't do anything about his teammate, and Thiago's 4th place, a decent start to the weekend. The second start a little bit more exciting. Stefano D'Aste leading as Robert Dahlgren stalled in the Volvo, and unbelievably almost nobody even brushed him. D'Aste in at Vika Sport, his first time in the car, his first time with the turbo, and struggling to get the power down at Porto with the pressure of a fired up Muller and Huff behind. And in the end, D'Aste asked too much of the car, couldn't cling on. And Muller and Huff squeezing through. D'Aste has to jump the chicane, and even though he gave the place back, a drive-through penalty was the result. And then it was Huff in front of Muller. He'd had a run on his French teammate up into the only chicane on the main straight, tried to turn in front, contact between them as both held their lines, and Huff straight through the chicane. So Muller felt and spoke to the team, saying Huff should give the place back. Huff felt he shouldn't, and the race directors agreed. Huff won it from Muller, and Monteiro on the podium in 3rd. Huff was thrilled, Monteiro over the moon, Muller fit to be tied. Well, once more, Rob Huff opened up the margin, this time out to 29 points. But the rivalry between the two teammates was set to intensify. Muller wasn't pleased that the team didn't order Huff back behind him, and went to see the race director. He found no solace there. Well, obviously Ivan was defending the lead and potentially 25 points, and at the end of the race the 25 points went to his main rival, so yeah, of course he was upset. He went to speak to the race director. Well, he's entitled to see the person who did the driver's briefing before the race. And so he went to talk to him, get an explanation face to face, and not as an official complaint. So, as far as I'm concerned, that wasn't, an offence by Ivan. Rob wasn't completely in front, otherwise there wouldn't have been contacts, but he cut the chicane without any penalties, so I guess for him that's good. Well, Muller was not impressed. To Donington Park, rounds 13 and 14, and you sensed a different feeling in Muller particularly. 3 Chevys at the top of the qualifying order, and leading the field into Redgate for the first time. Muller from Huff and Menu. Menu squeezing up the inside of Rob Huff for 2nd place. It was to be one of the most bruising races of the season. Plenty of bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper action. That was just the start. Lap 7 drama as a mistake from Christian Poulsen gives Robert Dahlgren an inside line. There's contact and both tyres are damaged. The battle from 9th place. On board with Dahlgren, climbs over the back of Poulsen's BMW as the tyres lock together. Meanwhile, Muller taking win from Huff with Menu in third. Another 1, 2, 3 for Chevrolet. Coronel, Tarquini and Englsih rounding out the top half dozen. And no big surprise at the start of the second race. Tom Coronel, the poleman, taking the lead from Javi Villa's BMW. Further back, Alemaniu already in 5th, having started 8th. Three-way trouble for the Seats though. Tarquini inside Montero, inside Nokia. 2 of the 3 end up damaged. Meanwhile, Coronel and Villa battling with each other. Dutchman goes off and Villa still hangs on in front of Christian Poulsen. Colin Turkington in the Vika Sport BMW as rain starts to arrive. Meanwhile, Huff gets tapped sideways by Muller in the final corner as O'Young gets tagged by Poulsen. Huff had just gone by O'Young. Muller went by both in one fell swoop. Behind, a touch again, Villa with Menu. Villa having been unsettled by Tarquini, who had more different coloured paint on his car at the end of the race than almost imaginable. Well, Franz Englsih has the lead. But the battles rage on behind. Muller takes the lead from Englsih. Rob Huff goes by as well. Tough battle for the independents. Christian Poulsen clatters into Norbert Michelisz. 2 of them having come together in the opposite order, of course, in Hungary, race 2. Gabriele Tarquini, not for want of trying, not at the front. Closes the door on Alemaniu. And Menu not best impressed with that move from the Italian. Robert Dahlgren also trying to find a way through in the drizzle. Dahlgren on the only track he'd ever raced on before in a World Touring Car Championship, when he raced here in British Formula Ford and Formula 3 early in his career. Well, the Volvo getting stronger and stronger all season, and as Tarquini flew across the Fogarty's S's, Dahlgren went by him, moving up to 6th place. It was frantic action almost everywhere you looked, from the front to the back. And there was nothing between Muller and Huff once more, but it was the Frenchman who got the lion's share of the points. Englsih claiming 3rd from Coronel, Menu and Dahlgren. And Colin Turkington been hoping for big things. He got 10th as Huff saw the gap come down to just 15 points. Oschersleben in Germany for rounds 15 and 16 of the World Touring Car Championship, and after a difficult start to the season, Ivan Muller now seemed unstoppable. Fastest in qualifying and on race day in streaming wet conditions, taking the lead into the tricky handbrake turn first corner. Gabriele Tarquini using all the power and performance of his Seat in the wet, sneaking his way through the order, taking 3rd place from Tom Coronel at the end of the first lap as the rear drive BMW struggled. Robert Dahlgren battling with Michel Nokia for 4th place, the Volvo alongside the Seat. Lap 8, and Dahlgren continues to move up the order. But out front, Ivan Muller claiming victory, inches in front of Rob Huff. Again, the points gap is a big one. Final lap, Franz Englsih, tipped off by Alexei Dudicalo, clatters into the barrier, damaging the front of the car. A shame, because he's going to start from pole in race 2. Well, away they go for the start. Norbert Michelisz makes a great start to take the lead from Franz Englsih. who had only just made it out of the pit lane after the team repaired the radiator and front end of the car in just 15 minutes repair time. Big crash behind, didn't bring out the safety car, but Alemanniu and Thiago Monteiro battling for third place. The Swiss squeezing by the Portuguese. It's been a tough season for Monteiro. Tarquini and Coronel ganging up on him as Muller and Huff tried to fight their way back up through the order. Norbert Michelisz, finding that turbo engine response and bumpy curbs don't help, skids out of the lead, handing it to his rival. And that meant that Franz Englsih led as the battle behind Ivar Muller, trying to cling on in front of Tom Coronel. Michelisz is out. That's the end of his chance of winning it. Massive moment for Ivar Muller, the ice racing king, hangs on to the car and somehow stops Rob Huff getting back past him. But with thousands of sponsors' guests on hand, Franz Englsih claims his first ever World Touring Car win. Alemanniu in second, Gabriele Tarquini in third, and Engslih's tiny family team celebrate with delight. And the gap between the protagonists now down to 6 points. No wonder Alemanniu is looking almost as happy as Franz Englsih. Heading to the final European round at Valencia in Spain. Michelisz making a poor getaway. He had a bit of a jump. Into the first corner, and the Chevys all dicing for position. Thiago Monteiro getting Alemanniu sideways as Gabriele Tarquini fought off Ivar Muller for the lead. And Tarquini holding up Muller as Rob Huff had a lunge down the inside. And a big knock sideways for Alemanniu. For Rob Huff rather, getting pushed out as Ivan Muller made good his escape. The onboard shows that Monteiro clatters Menu into Huff. No penalties applied. Menu's drive-through was quickly rescinded. Meanwhile, in the heat of the Spanish afternoon, Tarquini's tyres started to give up their ghost and Muller sneaked through. Tarquini crawling to a halt, Control-Alt-Delete to reset the car, eventually got it to run again. Problem he had had all weekend. Christian Poulsen and held up behind Thiago Monteiro, squeezes through. And Javier gets into the back of his Portuguese rival. Monteiro hanging on to the slide as Muller romps away. Menu in second place, Coronel completing the podium in third, Rob Huff recovering from his big moment earlier, but only down in fifth position. So for the first time in the championship, the Frenchman now has the points lead. 17 of the 24 races down. Race 18. Michelisz getting a real flyer as Franz Englsih bogs down on pole position. It's Tom Coronel from the outside the front row that takes the lead. Javier also starts quickly. Nukia trying to hold off the orange and black machine, but he's going to struggle with that one. Massive midfield battles. Bodywork and paint being swapped left, right and centre. Mehdi Benani, Freddie Bart, Daryl Young, Alexei Dudicalo and Robert Dahlgren all involved in this one. Lots of corners in Valencia, not too many of them you can actually complete the move with. Drive-through penalty for Michelisz for his ambitious start as Tom Coronel holds off Javier. Bumps the Dutchman into a slide. Tries to take the inside line. Coronel comes back into the right-hander, and there's contact. BMW 1-2-3 is now Chevy leading from BMW. 10 laps in, it was a BMW 1-2-3, and suddenly the top two have gone. Michelisz in avoidance went off. Last corner, Michelisz desperately trying to find a way by Müller, sees Huff down the inside, lets him through, guns the throttle to hold off Menu, spins out. The BMW 1-2-3 is suddenly a Chevy 1-2-3. It's Müller again from Huff and Menu. Tarquini takes fourth, best BMW. Poulsen is only in fifth. And the Zengo team can't believe it. Huff now not 6 ahead, but 16 behind. What a tough weekend for the Brit. The first of 3 flyways and a new venue in Japan. It's Suzuka, the home of the Japanese Grand Prix, but on the short circuit. First time for the World Touring Cars at this famous track. And as they head down into the first corner, there's contact. The end of the race for Robert Dahlgren. And Thiago Monteiro gets barely any further. Replay shows that Rob Huff gets tangled up with Coronel and Tarquini, and Monteiro goes into Via. It was a first corner mess and a classic racing incident. Safety car, clean-up and racing once more. Overtaking not easy on the tight short circuit. Menu passing Ivan Müller for the lead, but Rob Huff not finding a way through. Michel Nukia, the yellow car, right behind. Then the mistake from Müller, drifting out wide. Huff goes through to second, Nukia through to third, and Müller is down to fourth place. Meanwhile, Gabriele Tarquini further back, looking at Norbert Michelisz for 9th place, and goes by the Hungarian. But it's victory for Alain Menu. Rob Huff taking second from Nukia, with Müller in fourth, starting to close the points gap a fraction. Round 20 as Coronel leads once more. Confusion at the start. This time it's Darrell Young who gets spat out of the pack. He doesn't make it around turn 1 as the rain starts. Coronel leads. Müller holds second from Huff, with the blue Volvo of Dahlgren in fourth place, being harassed by Alain Menu. Tarquini gets penalised for the clash at the start with Darrell Young, on board with the Italian. Well, Young's brake lights did come on and Tarquini did run into him, but in the first corners anything can happen. Tom Coronel knows this track well from racing in Japan, and desperate to win again. After pushing like crazy, Alain Menu closes in on Robert Dahlgren, and eventually he'll manage to squeeze through as Dahlgren starts to struggle with a mechanical failure, possibly a legacy of that first corner, first race shunt. But within a few laps, the Volvo is back up to speed. Once more, he is challenging Menu. Well, in the end, despite the contact, the Swiss manages to cling on in front of the Swede, and Coronel clings on as well. He claims his second ever World Touring Car win. He's yet to win outside Japan though. Müller second, Huff third. The battle for the championship is still wide open. The gap comes from 16 down to 13 points, with 2 race weekends still to go. But a huge celebration for Royal Motorsport and their winning driver Tom Coronel, again on top in Japan. It's his home from home. What better place for the Dutchman to win a race? For the first time ever, the World Touring Car Championship heads to mainland China on the Tianma circuit outside Shanghai. Rob Huff had a great opportunity to catch Ivan Müller, starting from pole with his rival only in 7th place on this very tight and twisty track. Lap 2, Ivan Muller challenging Gabriele Tarquini for 5th position. Passing on about the only place you can into the first corner. Lap 7, Tarquini heading into the pits with terminal brake worries. Things not going too well for Huff. Slips down the order, passed by teammate Colin Turkington. Ivan Muller putting in a move on Norbert Michelisz, who is also struggling with brakes. His rears are on fire. Muller up to 5th place. Tom Coronel and Christian Poulsen also harassing the Hungarian. With his brakes firmly alight, Michelisz can go, but there's not much woe when he goes for the middle pedal. Poulsen will squeeze through, scoring more vital points in the tightly fought Yokohama Trophy for Independence. Menu claims victory from Turkington in 2nd in the yellow and white BMW. Huff takes it in 3rd, but Muller's right behind. Gabriele Tarquini from 2nd on the grid makes another of traditional lightning starts to outdrag poleman Rob Huff into the first corner. And then it's shades of Zolder all over again. Huff puts in a move and gets bounced across the grass. This time it's a big off. It looks like he's out, but somehow he rejoins. Colin Turkington off on the grass, trying to find a way around the Chevy. Muller squeezes through to 2nd as Huff challenges Turks once more, and through he goes. Well, Muller this time with an opportunity to get a run on Tarquini. Same move as Huff tried to put in, same result. Not quite. And this time Tarquini is aware of the challenge, and Muller cuts back on the inside. Forces the move where the Italian was not expecting it. The battle is on behind for 3rd position. Turkington's BMW has it. And misses his braking point just after Huff goes by him. Avoids clattering into fellow Brit, but loses 2 places as a result. Through go Coronel and Menu. And in the fading light, Coronel makes a mistake on Huff's tail. Back comes Turkington, who had already repassed Menu. Turks up to 4th place, the former British touring car champion driver winning that battle as Muller races on to take victory. Tarquini a long way behind, Huff in 3rd position. Turkington 4th ahead of Coronel. Well, the weekend started with a disaster in qualifying for Ivan Muller, but somehow he managed to open up his advantage from 13 to 20 points. With just one race weekend left, it seems he had one hand on the title. So to the traditional finish rounds of the series at Macau in China. The championship contenders qualify on the front row of the grid. Rob Huff on pole and Ivan Muller in 2nd place. The 20 points gap is big between them, but at Macau anything can happen. And so it proves. Within seconds of the start, Macau driver Andre Cotto loses control of his car, as behind him does Alain Menu. Both hit the barriers and then come together as if drawn by magnets. Safety car out for clear-up operations. Meanwhile, when they get racing once more, Thiago Monteiro outbrakes himself, battling with Mehdi Benani down at Lisboa. Benani tries to get through, Daryl Young closes the door, and they both stop. Young is out, Benani continues. Ivan Muller pressurising Rob Huff for the lead. Fast and furious, and on this long open section of the track, he's getting continually better speed courtesy of the tow from Huff. Surely it's only a matter of time before he drafts by. Little love tap just in case Huff forgot he was there. But in the end, The Brit manages to cling on at his favourite circuit. He wins once more in Macau. The gap is down to 15. But it is still the advantage to Müller. Final race of the championship then. Tom Coronel makes a great start to come through the front row starters. Franz Englsih and Michel Nukia. Englsih trying to win the Independence Trophy, as is Nukia, but Poulsen has it tied up at that stage. Rob Huff didn't make the greatest of starts, trying to keep his nose clean. Gets a run going on Franz Englsih. Massive moment for Nukia, almost takes them all out. Somehow he clings on in the Seat as Coronel tries to make his escape. And Huff now has company from behind with Alain Menu right up, with Mehdi Benani right up behind him. Through the twisty mountain section, Huff uses all of his knowledge and experience to catch Nukia by surprise, lunges to the inside, and the Dane has nowhere to go, has to concede the corner. So Coronel leads, Huff in second place. The gap is looking good for him, but Müller's on the attack. Through past Franz Englsih he goes to take 5th position. It's enough as long as he stays out of trouble and Huff doesn't take the lead. But Huff has other ideas. Coronel desperately wants to win again, but Huff is on home turf here, or as good as, and he takes the lead of the race. For Huff, it's the lead of the championship as well, but behind, Müller's got by Benani, and Gary Kwok loses control of his BMW. There's a massive accident. Fortunately, nobody else involved, and he is okay. The car, however, is wrecked. Ivar Müller challenging Michel Nukia. 4th is enough for Müller. He is winning the championship. Nonetheless, behind Nukia is not as good as in front of Nukia. Dives down the inside into Mandarin and takes 3rd place. And in the final move of the championship, on board with Gabriele Tarquini, uses Nukia's slipstream to overtake the Dane and moves up to 4th. So in the end, Huff wins again in Macau, but for Ivar Müller, he has done enough. It's the 3rd championship in 4 years for the Frenchman. He won in 2008 with Seat, 2010, 2011 with Chevrolet, and the gap after 24 races, just 3 points. So Ivar Müller wins the championship by 3. Alamenu in 3rd place. Tom Coronel, the best non-Chevy driver, in 4th, ahead of Gabriele Tarquini. And some very close battles. Christian Poulsen tied up the Yokohama Independence Trophy from Michel Nukia and Franz Englsih. Norbert Michelisz in 4th position. The gap there, just 2 points. 3 points for the champion and 2 points for the Independence champion. Tiny margins. Well, the start of the season really wasn't what I'd hoped for, what I wanted, said Ivan. It was the worst start to a season I've ever had. From Budapest, though, things were going a little bit better. I think we understood that we had to look at the setup again, start from 0. And that's the reason why this title is a special one, because I started from so far behind. Well, that's what it's like in motorsport. It's really a team sport. I mean, everybody thinks it's just about the driver, but this year is so special because it was me and my engineer. The way that we worked together, we used everything that we had with the new mechanics. We started to build a little team inside the Chevy team, which worked perfectly. And we just got better and better and better. So congratulations to our race winners, to our podium finishers, to our champions, Christian Poulsen and, of course, Ivar Müller. Now, Macau is always a gamble, literally as well as metaphorically. And it may well be that the gamble is played out again in 2012 at the same venue. Will the same players still be at the table? There's only one way to find out. Thanks for being with us through 2011. Join us again for the FIA World Touring Car Championship 2012. We'll see you then.